Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight I welcome you to Hercules and the Space Gods. We will be examining the UFO entity Enigma, and we will be exploring the question as to who the UFO entities report to. What is their plan for being here? And are there many different plans? Do they conflict with one another? Are they working in cooperation with one another? I don't quite know, and I'm really hoping to find out. And we have a wonderful group of people here assembled to explore that question. We have Tim Swartz, the living legend and the publisher of Santar Press. And we have Setna Kamwast of Knemet, also known as Michael K. Waterman, who represents the ancient Egyptian tradition. We have Brian Walker from Brian's Drive-In Theater, and he has his pulse on popular culture. And then entering our arena, we have Marc and Phyllis Brinkerhoff, who are in communion with outer space forces. So everyone will explore what they've discovered, and I'll share a little bit about what I know at the end if we have time. So without further ado, we have Tim Swartz. Greetings, Tim. How are you, O legend?
Hi, Hercules. Thank you very much for having me on tonight. It's always a pleasure to be with you and with everybody else that Brian Setna and the Brinkenhoffs. It's just always fantastic to be able to talk with everyone.
And Setna, how are you?
Oh, I'm terrific. I'm nice and warm. I know others cannot say the same.
No, definitely not. It's beyond a little chilly.
I'm going to be mean. It's 46 degrees here, and it's about 20 where you guys are. And you have snow, and I don't.
Well, I'm glad for you. Brian, how are you?
Oh, sore from shoveling about 8 inches of snow out of my driveway this afternoon, but otherwise fine. How are you?
Wish I'd gotten as much exercise as you did today.
When we first bought our house, one of the things I liked about it the most was that it was set back from the street. And I wasn't thinking, oh God, I've got this giant driveway that's about 25 feet wide at the top of it.
When we lived in Pennsylvania, we lived in the mountains in the Poconos.
Yes.
So when it snowed very often, I had to dig outside the door, the landing, down the stairs, across the sidewalk, up another flight of stairs, up the curved parking area to where we had the car parked in the port. And if we were lucky, it would take me like an hour and a half to do that. And then luckier, the town would have plowed the street. If the plow came and didn't remove the snow on the street, then despite all my hard work, we were stuck there until.
So was that the 9th labor of Hercules?
Also 247th. And Marc, how are you? And Phyllis is invisible today, or will she?
Yeah, she's invisible. She's listening, but she's over in another expanse. I love the snow talk because we come from upstate New York, and it was a nightmare in the old days. Not as bad today, but we had blizzards, and I had a shovel driveway into a road because we lived on a slope. So if you came down the road, you wanted to get into the driveway. And if you didn't, I had a tire to bump a tree. I mean, it was bizarre.
Okay.
My God. Remember sanding and everything and snowblowers.
No.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
More. No more.
Nice to meet you, everybody.
Tonight's topic, Marc, is who do the UFO entities report to? So I'm looking forward to hearing your perspective on that as well. And
okay.
We're going to start with Tim. Tim is a researcher of many, many years, and I'm sure he has some very interesting perspectives on this topic.
Well, Hercules, I got nothing. So you just go on to the next one. No. I do want to say, though, that and not to rub this in anyone's nose, we were fortunate here in southern Indiana that we only got a dusting of snow here. There was actually more snow south of us in Tennessee, Kentucky, even Texas, I guess, got more snow than we did. But it's been so cold that I don't think that I had to get out yesterday. But that's been the only time. And if I could just spend the rest of, however long it's going to stay cold inside, then I would be happy. So yeah, that's it for winter for me. But I don't know if I would, even though I do like warm weather, I don't know if I'd want to move south, because as Setna was saying, there was a 10-foot alligator not too far away from his apartment. And I'm not sure if I want to go outside and find a 10-foot alligator.
Well, it was behind a fence. I have to preface that.
Okay, behind a fence, yeah. And a 10-foot alligator, I'm sure, could probably take down a fence pretty easily if it really wanted to get at you.
Now, ancient alien theorists might say
You also climb.
or who exist on the other side of the fence are reptoids. That's why the alligator's there in the winter.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, it's an interesting subject. The idea that the UFO phenomena and the so-called UFO entities that have been associated with them might have a hierarchy, possibly, or that the ones that we're dealing with are a facade or not the actual, not the real aliens, so to speak. And it makes me think of the old, and I hate to say old, but it came out in the 70s, a British science fiction television show by Gary Anderson and his company called UFO. And it only lasted one season, and they were going to do a second season, but instead it turned into Space 1999. Mm-hmm. But in that television show, and I'm sorry, Brian, I'm going with pop culture and start out with here on this subject, but I think it's relevant because the aliens were portrayed as being humanoid. You never really you saw them, but they were always in a spacesuit. And when they actually caught one and dissected it, they found out that it was made up of bits and pieces from Earth humans. That one of the reasons, or they really weren't quite sure the reason that they were here, but one reason was here is that we were being harvested for body parts. And then close to the end of the series, they decided that we had yet to run into the actual aliens, the actual brains behind the whole operation. And Marc, I'm going to have to, with apologies to Marc, but, there has been a lot of speculation through the years along the same lines when it comes to the UFO phenomena, that what we have been seeing here and associated with UFOs, and especially like, a lot of the landed situations where people, will run across a landed UFO and the occupants are out, running around doing things, that these may not actually be the true aliens. And it makes me think of the UFO researcher Daryl Sims. And he told me one time that it was his idea that everything that we have seen that would be, as we would consider, extraterrestrials or aliens, are actually entities that were created by the real aliens in order to operate here on Earth. And that was why you would have like the insectoids and the reptoids and some of these other weird creatures, because they were based on earthly DNA, that they would gather, DNA from here, create these creatures, then to do the work on Earth, because the real extraterrestrials, whatever their form would be, would not be able to operate on our planet for, the various obvious reasons. Couldn't deal with the atmosphere, gravity, like H.G. Wells, the germs, that sort of thing. And I always thought that may explain a lot when it comes to the many different aspects of the UFO phenomena. And it's something that John Keel wrote about quite a bit. And, I really did come from the John Keel school. Him and Brad Steiger were probably the two authors that I glommed onto really early on. And they both had a big influence on my research and my writing. But Keel, especially around the time that he was doing his research on Mothman at Point Pleasant, West Virginia, he was also involved with a really bizarre series of UFO and occupant reports that were going on Long Island, New York. And he was working with a DJ at a small radio station whose name was Jane Paro. I think that's how you pronounce her name, P-A-R-O. And then some other people who surfaced with the same kind of stories. And, you could write an even more bizarre movie than the Mothman prophecies based on the stuff that Keel was going through when he was doing all of this Long Island research. And it was this stuff that led John to come up with the idea that the UFO phenomena may actually, and he started calling the beings associated with it ultra terrestrials. Because he felt that these things weren't extraterrestrials as we think of them. He didn't think that they were visitors from other planets, but that they were actually another intelligence that comes from like some other kind of a field of energy from a reality that may be close to ours, but not actually part of ours. And that for some reason, somehow, they are able, albeit briefly, to gain life, gain a modicum of intelligence, because he always felt that these things were more like robots, so to speak, that they weren't really thinking too much on their own, that they were following a pattern of influence that was given from some other source, and that they were playing, as he put it, ridiculous games that could be influenced by the thoughts of the people who were participating in this, himself included. So, when it comes to this, and I know that, people may be coming to listen to this hoping that we'd actually be able to, provide some definitive answers to this. But I think that it's still part of that big unknown that is ever present over the UFO phenomena, that we don't really know what the source is, or even what the ultimate goal of this is, if there even is a goal. And back to Keel again, Keel thought that whatever the source of this, the ultimate intelligence, he thought it was mad. He said it was crazy, and that kind of went to Charles Fort, who speculated that the Earth was controlled by some kind of mad god, and Keel kind of reflected that thoughts of Fort, that whatever we're dealing with is playing some sort of mad game, that it isn't even sure what it's up to. Because a lot of the situations that were coming from these silent contactees, as Keel called them, people who were having contacts with some other kind of intelligence, but never wanted it publicized, and only a few people, such as Keel or maybe some close family members, ever knew that these people were experiencing some kind of bizarre phenomena. And for instance, these beings were playing some kind of bizarre game that involved several women who were pregnant. And these women were told that their pregnancies were the result of some kind of genetic manipulation by the aliens, and that they were going to be given birth to a hybrid human extraterrestrial child that would be a messiah, so to speak. And that eventually these women were found themselves being kidnapped, taken to like abandoned houses somewhere on Long Island, where in the basements were all kinds of wonderful machinery. And one group was there, say, to help the pregnancy along, and then there was another group, an evil group, that was going to come along and try to snatch this infant from them before it was born, to prevent the Messiah, the outer space Messiah, from being born. But it was all just a game, so to speak. I guess one of these women ended up not being pregnant at all. She had like a false pregnancy, even though she was showing physically. And then the other woman had a baby that was a baby. And after the baby was born, then all of this activity ceased. And so you had this and other even more crazy stories. If you could believe, they could get even more bizarre. So I'll just say, Hercules, that and I welcome anyone who wants to ask a question along these lines, that we're dealing with a phenomena that is not forthcoming on its goals, origins, or anything like that. There may not even be any. There is, and as Keel speculated, that these, whatever this intelligence is that it's very much like an automation, that for whatever reasons things will set it off, and it will produce phenomena that takes on a reality in our own, albeit briefly, plays its game, takes on these roles. Spacemen, gods, men in black, whatever. And then once people get involved and caught up in it all, to the point where they're actually believing in it to the core, to their heart, then it disappears and never shows up again, leaving everybody just basically, hanging over the cliff. And we've seen this with some UFO contactees who would go and make very public predictions about, say, like the landing of craft.
Tim, but
Go ahead.
we only have 10 minutes for everybody, I would love to continue this. Would you like to do a whole show on this?
Oh, possibly. You could probably talk me into it.
But let's look at our schedules, because I'm just going to say a sentence then, because we have limited time.
Sure.
in the first thing that Tim Beckley published of mine, I shared that in Olympian spirituality, we're not here to be good. We're not here to worship. We're here to entertain the gods. So we're entertainment.
Yes.
So I've thought along these lines for a very long time. I knew John Keel. I was a member of his Fortean Society in New York City. And Brad Steiger was on several of my podcasts before, when he was still alive, still with us. And we were planning a podcast around the time that he passed. So I think very highly of them too, and they've formed very powerful influences on me as well. And thank you. I want to explore this so much. We will be in touch, and let's do a whole show just on this topic. Okay.
Let's do that. That's great.
Thank you, and I apologize.
No problem.
We have 10 minutes for everybody. Setna.
Yes.
You are well versed in the mysteries of ancient Knemet and also the paranormal mysteries of the here and the now. What is your wisdom on this question?
We're talking about it. I'm going to take it from a Kemetic point of view, and I want to show this especially to Marc. This is Temu. He is a higher force. They call him the divine master. As you can see, he looks like he's sitting in a spaceship. And he's holding on to devices on either side. He's carrying an Ankh, which is a symbol for life. There seems to be flames coming from where he's sitting. So he's in a command center. And I noticed this a long time ago. This is on the back of what's called the Mirror of Hathor, which is a device which is used to send negative energy back to its source. But I wanted you to see this. Especially Marc and Phyllis. What do you think of this, guys? Are you there?
I'm muted. I don't want to make noise when you guys are talking.
Well, don't make any noise, but I want to know, this is a command center, and I thought you'd know, of all people, you would recognize this. It's ancient, but it's not ancient. He has a light source on top of his head. That's not what that is, as you know.
I know.
He's carrying, he's pointing to different directions of instrumentation, and he's sitting on what I would think is a rocket as he goes forward into his direction. But he's called the Control Master, and his name is Temu, kind of like the new store app that you get things real cheap and free, but which I was insulted by, because Temu is supposed to be the all high, the high master. And this struck me as I was, I'm still unpacking. I finally unpacked all my crystal balls, which is kind of fun. And they're also an energy. Each one of these is, I'm going to say in a crazy way, are a friend of mine. They are all alive. They have spiritual energy. They are going to be here for millions of years.
Yeah.
In this form.
All the crystals.
They are here. Yeah, they're here to help. But
crystals.
I wanted you to see Temu, and I wanted your opinion because I trust you so very much, because I know you and I have a similar situation with our births.
Yeah, weird. It's definitely, remember, that's ancient, and symbology is what they used back then. So what they could see, maybe they were on the ship. Remember, Ezekiel was taken on a ship, taken somewhere else. Everybody in their ancient time has some way of, carving or whatever they're going to do with the art. And that's why, to me, when I see all these carvings from the ancient times and the pyramids and more, it's obvious what it is to me. But they were visitors.
I thought it would be.
Working
and I
together.
wanted to get your input, because I knew the moment you saw that, you'd go, aha. Because I knew that, you, of all people, you would relate to that energy.
Oh.
I have around me, I don't know if you can see them all, many crystals. And I also have my cobalt. This crystal I got in a place called Star Magic many years ago.
Love that store. That was a great store.
Oh, yeah. My friend Eric was one of the salespeople there. I've lost touch. But this is cobalt, and also it's called thallium green. And it's been blasted into this crystal and superheated it so that this will work. This crystal is the strongest of them all. This was from Samuel Weiser's. I bought it for $350. It's actually worth 10 times that now, and you can't get it anymore. This one comes from Bloomingdale's. It was made by the Atlantis Corporation. It's numbered and signed. It's rock crystal, so it's a rock. This guy, Marc, his name is Ham, Hahm, and he's extremely, extremely powerful. But he's my talking crystal, and he would relate to you. He has been in this body for 4,000 years. He went from human form to crystal form. And I think many of the high masters, like in the movie Superman, have become crystals so that they can vibrate and work with us that way. The other thing I was going to say that Tim mentioned, the movie that he's talking about that happened on Long Island is a film called Entity. And they have a very strange thing that enters the lead actress, and she becomes pregnant. I grew up on Long Island. I told you about this flying chandelier that I saw when I was a child, which I have not seen here in Savannah yet. The last time I saw it was I was in the West Village, and I was looking out over the Hudson River, and I saw it, and it shot back at me like, Michael, we're still here. And it was an amazing energy. And it's what led me here to Savannah. The reason I'm here is all my life I was told, move to Savannah, Georgia. I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know anything about it except that it was in Georgia, and it's got a really haunted history. But the energy here is so strong and so positive and beautiful that I now know this is my home. And I know the gods of Egypt. I feel I'm in a direct line to my Egyptian masters. And I know that they are so happy that I'm in this environment. And after all, I've got palm trees, I've got sand. It looks like Egypt.
Yes.
It's a whole lot politically safer. Well, kind of, we won't get there.
Okay.
But so I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, that energy's here, And Tim, I was going to say, did you see this? What do you think of this?
Yes. Well, and I was thinking that the underneath him could represent like lines of force, either acting as a form of transport, or him even being able to travel not physically, but as light.
Well, that's what I think. And I think that's why they put it on the back of a mirror, because it has this energy. The Egyptians don't talk about Temu. They're almost afraid to. There are very few writings about him, and very, very few images. This is one of the few images. It's from a tomb, but they found this huge brass and gold plate, hand hammered, in the tomb of I think he's a 12th dynasty pharaoh called Knemet. And it's not explained. It's just kind of there on a table, as if the pharaoh was working on it, and then he died or transcended in some way. And then all of a sudden, this thing appeared, this object appeared. This pharaoh was considered not human. His skin was an odd texture. It was a gray, green, brown coloring. He didn't look like the rest of the Egyptians. He's an interesting being. He always wore on top of his head 2 hands like this, almost like an antenna. And there was supposed to be a crystal in the middle. When they found the statue of him, the crystal was taken away. But it's very interesting. Again, he was considered a control or a master.
And on that note, thank you very much, Setna. We have to move on to Brian. And the UFOs are reporting to who, Brian, according to American cinema?
Well, according to American cinema, I guess it really depends on the era during which we were talking about said films. In the 1950s, often what you found were just sort of, worker bees or minions. who were making the journey from their home planet to ours, and oftentimes it was let's say out of concern for the way that the beings of Earth had been acting, meaning World War II. And you get that familiar trope in a lot of science fiction movies, but particularly the Day the Earth Stood Still. I think that's a good one. The original one, I guess I should say, with Michael Rennie and Patricia Neal. Michael Rennie is more or less an emissary. He's not. He doesn't really have any ill intentions. And later on in American cinema, you find very ill-intentioned alien life forms visiting the U.S. Actually, that very same year, The Day the Earth Stood Still is a film from 1951. That very same year, The Thing from Another World, and one of my top 10 favorite science fiction horror films. It's a brilliant film. It's Kenneth Tobey. He's the lead actor in it, character actor from way back. But the thing itself, I hate to ascribe any kind of sex to it, because the thing from another world is actually plant form. The producers, and I know if you've seen, and I'm sure you probably have seen the film, it's James Arness from Gunsmoke. Only he doesn't really look like plant life so much. They tried to attach some of that to him. He still looks very menacing, but originally the producers wanted something much more elaborate, and just in 1951, getting something like that on film just wasn't a possibility. And I think they were looking at James Arness in a costume, but it works. It's an incredibly frightening film, and he makes a very menacing creature. If you go back and research any on UFO sightings in the USA, practically since the dawn of man, there have been recorded sightings of UFOs. They became much more prevalent after World War II. I don't know if, indeed, much like Michael Rennie would have said in Day the Earth Stood Still, if it was because of World War II and all the calamity and the atomic bomb. I don't know if that was one of the reasons for more visits from different planets and such. But if you look at the history of it, it really picks up around 1947. I mean, Roswell happened in 1947, but there were many events that year that were reported. And if you've ever known anybody who does a lot of flying, a lot of these people will tell you that hey, I saw something I couldn't quite explain. And you do see things like that. A lot of people will, if you look at, what am I trying to say? If you look at people's accounts of UFO sightings, oftentimes they will be stationary, or and they will see something go across the sky. Other times it's a much more intimate encounter with the UFO. And one of my favorite terrible films, Plan 9 from Outer Space, probably has the least inventive UFOs on Earth. It's the only UFO I can name that has curtains inside.
Yes. Shower curtains, no less.
Well, yeah, the shower curtain I think is in the airplane, where
okay, I'm sorry.
Early scene. But later on, when they actually do get inside of the craft, there's curtains everywhere. So, an amazing lack of any kind of equipment or anything.
And they're made out of paper plates. That was the coolest thing.
I think some of the ones that Wood used were also like Remco models from the late 50s as well. So if you look at the films in the 1950s that did offer UFO encounters as a plot or a subplot, some of them are very menacing, like War of the Worlds, which is there again a fantastic science fiction film, and it's got some age on it as well, but it holds up extremely well. Fortunately, it was shot in color, and I think that the color plus the quality of the available print makes War of the Worlds one of the best. And that's Gene Barry and Ann Robinson, the stars of it. If you move into the 70s, the era that I grew up in as a kid, the big film from the 70s was obviously Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was a big Steven Spielberg epic, and I will confess that I have only seen that movie once. I saw it at the theater when I was probably, I don't know, like 12 or 13 years old, and I had expectations up here for it. I was really excited to see it, especially since, this was the guy who made Jaws. So I was really excited and hated it. So sat there for 2.5 hours, like, oh, Jesus, when is this going to end? I think one of the things that really threw me off in it is there are two different stories going in the film, and I got bored with it after a while. But when I was preparing for tonight, I started thinking, gosh, everything about this movie is right, and I really should like it. So I'm going to give it another shot. It's got a great cast, incredibly high production values, and I remember it looking good, on screen, but did not care for it. And I'll wrap up with another extraterrestrial film that I despise, which was E.T. And there's actually a reason behind that. The first time I saw E.T., I was probably 16 years old, and I saw it at the local theater where I grew up. And there was the product placement got obnoxious, after a while, and even my 16-year-old jaded self was rolling his eyes at it. For some reason, that movie stayed in the theater for, I don't know, 2 years. I mean, it always seemed to be on. And my mother loved it. So when she would get off work, she would call me and ask me to meet me at the theater. And I would be like, oh my God, do we have to see this movie again? And I probably saw it 15 times in this from 1982 to 1983. And I can't do it anymore. I just can't watch it. Every time I see it on, I just start rolling my eyes. I cannot do it. I will say something though, as a big amusement park aficionado, the ET ride at Universal in Florida is awesome. It's so cute. I love it. I just can't watch that movie ever again.
Can you eat Reese's Pieces?
Actually, I used to hate those too, and I got some. I can't remember. We might have had some at work when I was still working, and you know what? They're actually really good.
So the ETs are under the command of lots of different other ETs or forces at work. There's no wisdom to be from our popular culture. What's your favorite theory, Brian?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Do you have a favorite theory on what the aliens are doing here?
Well, part of me wonders if they're not rolling their eyes at us. so we might be here for their amusement.
I think so. Like I echoed after Tim had spoken. I really think we're here for their amusement, and that's the only explanation that makes sense to me. There are parts of it, but one of the parts is certainly for entertainment.
And I think another aspect of it goes back to Michael Rennie in The Day the Earth Stood Still. I do think they are monitoring the situation just to make sure that we don't blow the universe up or anything like that. Yes, and it wouldn't be out of intention. It would be very ham-fisted. I don't think they think that we're smart enough to handle all of this. And there, I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment. But who knows? It could be time travel. This could be us in a million years. I mean, who knows? You know, a lot of the accounts that we're told, you know, from you know, alleged sightings that have involved more than just spacecraft, you know, actual beings. They are, you know, somewhat humanoid. It's something we could have evolved. You know, who knows?
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Marc and the Invisible Phyllis. Marc
Quiet.
had the advantage of being in contact with extraterrestrials, so their view is an insider's view. What light can you shed upon us?
Let me see.
Question.
Well, I was involved with the ET movie only because they contacted me for being a contactee who had benevolent encounter with the extraterrestrials. So their Spielberg people came to New York for me to meet them. So a lot of the movie is based on some stuff that I told them. They tape recorded me. So when they talked about home, that was what I started, because they said, where did you go? And when you were out of body and going back to visit with my true self. And I said, we call it home. And they use that. And also, I tell them how we're telepathic and how they know where we are and I know where they are when they're coming. I can feel them. I sense them. They look up and they're there. Or they communicate telepathically. So they use that with Elliot and the extraterrestrial. I had a golden retriever at the time at the field with me, and they used a golden retriever mixed dog. So they use certain things. And I asked them, are you going to use extraterrestrial people or beings like I saw? And they said, no, he's going to make up his own character. So we had no idea what's going to happen after that. But it was, there was parts about it that I understood that I think went over the head of everybody. When E.T. was supposedly dying, getting sick, his energy was withdrawing and Elliot was feeling all these things and the plant was weak, wilting, etc. And he was taken in a body bag and zipped up. And Elliot was getting sicker and they were taking him out of the room. Well, in that moment, that's when E.T. goes, he fades out. Now, he had already done his communication device that didn't work for him. So basically what he did is went out of body to go home to get contact to come pick him up. So when the plant started coming back to life, when Elliot saw that, that was a connection that he realized he wasn't lost in the connection. They ran back and then Elliot, they undo his zipper bag and he goes, E.T. phone, home, 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 home. I knew that was the link. Only through an out of body was this guy going to get back to his people in some way to get a communication going. That's the way I saw it. Because otherwise, why would he say E.T. phoned home when he came out of the bag? You know, they zipped him up. So unzipped him, I mean. So there's parts in that movie that were used for me and their tape recording they made. And they didn't give me any credit in any way. Because I asked them, I said, am I supposed to sign? So I took all my information and wrote down everything I said. I had artwork and photography, UFOs I had that were documented by MUFON back then. And they said, no, it's okay. We're just getting an idea for a story. But they basically utilized some of it too. They asked me, why would these extraterrestrials sometimes come to the earth? And I said, a lot of them are botanists and they bring plants or take plants back. So at the end, she's giving them a plant because he was a botany ship, if you remember the plants on shelves. So I thought, wow, when Phyllis and I first saw that movie, we were like, wow, they steal a lot of stuff from you. But the Close Encounters of the Third Kind was based on lots of snippets from real life things where probes flying through, bringing the turnstiles, etc., on the cars. A lot of things were there. And back in 1980 or 81, I think it was, J. Allen Hynek was up in Brewster giving a talk with the investigators we worked with. And we were there watching the table for the photography and whatever people wanted to look at. And he requested to meet with me in the back of the stage. So we got back there and he was curious about, Peter, my investigator already told him about what we do and what happened to me. So he was curious about that. And he wanted to know, because he was nuts and bolts, everything had to be metal. You know, here's your spaceship, I believe you, that kind of stuff. He didn't think there was a dimensional anything going on. But I told him there was. And I said, he goes, how do they jump through time? I said, they basically bend frequency, but it's also a jump through a teleport boom, jump. And we have spaces in the areas that they teleport with. We can go back in time. And basically, they see it in the same way. I can't even explain how they do it because I've seen how they do it, but there's time warp spaces and frequencies. It's all frequency and sonics. And then they jump and they locate the timing, like 1855 or something, and they know that time zone. We've visited people in the past in ancient times, so that's how they do it. And so we got to get into, is it a comedy? Is it a joke? No, it's not. It's real. And we are not just entertainment. No, some of these beings might use it as that, but we are here to do things and to, as souls, we came in to work and do different things for the planets as we're on the heavy duty energy or the frequency of this planet, the physical dense bodies. We're all from higher dimensional planes. And I knew, we knew John Keel. He would visit with us here and everything because we lived a couple blocks from him. Ultra terrestrials is exactly what we're talking about. They're not of this frequency and density. They're frequency higher, and we're finishing our book. So soon we'll get some out now. The higher densities and what we'll call levels. These beings come from these levels that are beyond our understanding. On this level, we're first level. They have 12 levels, and on planes, we're first plane, and there's 12 planes, and beyond that, there's not just 12. There's beyond that. So we're very multidimensional beings, us as souls. And we are in the future, and they're right here as an aspect. And then all the past is still there to see. You can pass away today, get on the other side, work your way to the other side. And as you get there, you get to the spots, and then you can ask questions. That's what you got to do. And you want to see the past, you want to see where you were in times in the past, or what planet systems, you could see that. But you have to ask. It's not something that just happens when you're there. These beings are located on so many dimensions and planes and different places, from physical density like us to higher frequency. So all of them answer to their own people. So we know Ashtar. I know Ashtar. I know he works with some groups here. I know other people in the other dimensional planes that we work with, like there's one called Kantamara. Actually, George Bentasso spoke of him, not him, but the people who talked with him spoke about that being. That's a person I met back in the 1970s. So these beings are commanders and leaders in their way, and on their own, let's say, groups or commanders and stuff in their own groups. Like the Intergalactic Mission is a group of them, a galactic group. We have a galactic council. We have these intergalactic councils, and they have commanders working with them, and one is Asteron. So there's many commanding beings, and they're all running their own different commands. So some are here, like Tim said, and Tim Beckley, as well as even John Keel. These beings are like, some of them are robotics, and we know those are like robotic beings. They're just programmed to do certain things, get soil samples, do whatever they're doing, get a clip of a leaf or whatever, and go back on the ship. And the beings who sent them in that physical density spaceship of sorts are on a higher place in another dimensional plane, maybe. And so they go back in frequency, but those are robotics, the robotic type android things. So there are humanoids or beings that I've met. And the ones I met were 8 and 9 feet tall, but they picked me up. I was a little kid too, and I was 5 years old. So they picked me up and carried me. When I got older, I went on the same ships, and these were teleported level to, beings of light that would take you up in a beam. So I'm not saying, I say anyone can believe what they want, but I know what I experienced and where I come from. And I never forgotten where I come from before I came in to be born here. So there are many commands, there are many beings that are meeting up with other, let's say, command posts or command beings on other galaxies as well as planet systems. So we can't say they're all talking to one person or one guy in control, like Ashtar or somebody like that. No, there's different groups. And they always said we come to our own. So like Michael, that's what they do. They come to their own. Those who we've been with, who we've worked with in the past, or who we've come from before coming here. So they come to monitor, and they will just monitor us. Sometimes they come through, and you'll see them in the sky, levitate, they'll hover above you, and then flash off, just go away or go like that. They're just checking in and monitoring. They know what's going on this planet, and that's why they can shut off certain bomb systems and stuff when needed. And just like Michael Rennie, the same thing, and they're still. When they came here in the 50s and 51 and 52, the beings that came were from the Ethereum range of frequency dimensions, not this density that we are, but higher, finer frequency densities, but they can come through to us because these densities are right near each other, these levels and stuff. And so one level can affect another and how they do things. So launching a bomb here maybe affects the frequencies on some of the levels. And that's what they were complaining about, I think, when they first came, because they saw the bombs were going off and they're saying, well, they're affecting us now. Now we got to monitor and make them closer. But they've monitored for thousands and millions of years, millions.
And on that note,
watching this.
we need to wrap up because everybody needs to share the contact information. Thank you very much, Marc.
Okay.
What do you call it? I am, of course, joking to some degree, but not totally when I say that part of this is entertainment, because as you know, my spirituality and my origin is Olympian. So we have an Olympian view of things. And part of that is having a sense of humor and being entertained by what is going on in the world of the here and now. So thank you very much. And Phyllis, we missed your voice. We're going to look forward to it next time.
Phyllis, they missed your voice back there. You wait. Just saying hi.
I was listening to everybody.
She was listening to us all.
I want to thank everybody for contact information. Obviously 10 minutes is not enough, so we could do one of two things, and I'd like to know, it doesn't have to be now, what you would prefer personally. We could either start from 8:30 and go to 10 rather than 9 o'clock. That's option number one. Option number two is that we have 4 instead of 5 people speaking, and this way everybody gets a bit more time to speak. So I will ask everybody individually by PM or email or by telephone. So that's something to think about. How can people get in contact with you, Tim Swartz and Encore Press?
Sure. Well, if you want to read all my books, they're all available on Amazon.com. Just type in my name, Tim R. Swartz, and they'll all come tumbling out for your reading pleasure, both print and ebooks. You can also find some of them at your favorite local bookstore or your library. So please patronize both. Our website is, and I really do need to go and update it, but it's conspiracyjournal.com. That's you can find a lot of the articles and other books by some of our other authors that wrote for Timothy Green Beckley's Global Communications, especially, and that's conspiracyjournal.com, where we like to say we've got all the weird news and information that they don't want you to know.
And I can vouch for that. Setna Kamwastub Knemet. How can people contact you?
Okay, you can get me at Michael K. Waterman on Facebook. You can get me on Phone a Wizard, which is my other job, at Facebook. You can get me on my home phone number, which has not changed, everybody. It's 516-650-3691. Please write that down. Oh, you can get me, you can write to me, and it's now 1699 Chatham, CHATHAM Parkway, apartment 1523A, Savannah, Georgia, 31407. And you can reach me, of course, through Hercules if you wish. I will also be on my own show as well, MNN. You can get me there, or you can, of course, reach me right here.
There are many ways to reach you, but some of them have alligators, so beware.
And rattlesnakes, I hear.
Brian Walker, how can people visit the drive-in theater and speak with you?
Well, you can always visit the drive-in theater 24/7 at briansdrive-in-theater.com. That's Brian with an I. And if you want to interact with me on social media, your only chance is through Facebook, because it's the only social media platform I seem to be active on anymore. If you run a search for Brian's Drive-In Theater in Facebook, I will come up.
Thank you very much. And just before we move on to Marc, Setna is one of Mount Olympus's mages, sages, and seers. And very soon I'll be having mages, sages, and seerly panels, just like we have the UFO panel. So if anyone's interested in divine happenings and ancient mythologies and how they live in the modern day, either as a panelist or an audience member or whatever, just let me know and we'll put you in the rotation. And Marc and I had a conversation maybe a year ago or 2 years ago at this point about at some point investigating the paranormal. It was 2 years ago because COVID hadn't happened yet. So
it was before you started the show, just before.
yes. So we were talking about going here in Jersey, in New York State, and the surrounding states, and investigating cryptids and UFOs and things like that. I've done that in the past, and so have many of you, including Marc and Phyllis. So that got put on hold because of the pandemic. But now, even though the pandemic is still with us, it's no longer as with us as it was before, at least insofar as how people are reacting to it. So that's going to be starting the second quarter of this year. Right now I'm working on the UFO investigations, which have started already. So we're going to be investigating UFOs. Later we'll be investigating cryptids. So Marc, how can people contact you and Phyllis and align themselves with the forces that you represent?
Well, before I end my whole show, this is my commander, Sananda, and he runs a lot of everything everywhere in Galaxy and the Omniverse. Also, Michael, don't forget, brown recluses are there. The spider. And black moccasins.
My cat seems to be eating spiders, so that seems to be fun.
I hope it's not that one.
I don't know, but Oliver seems to think that everything is delicious.
Big bugs.
Oliver.
Ew.
Oliver.
And the hairy ones.
Oliver's sneaking up on us.
He's a beautiful cat.
He is.
You can get us on Facebook under Marc Brinkerhoff, Marc, and what do you call it? Our website, intergalacticmission.com, and the other website, etuniversalzone.com, where we play with Hercules and we have interviews, etc.
YouTube under Marc.
And YouTube, Phyllis just said, under Marc Brinkerhoff.
MARC.
MARC, BRINKERHOFF. And I don't know.
And Marc
Telegram,
Brinkerhoff
I don't know.
at Yahoo.
Yahoo, Marc Brinkerhoff at yahoo.com. That's so
Oliver,
we're finishing some books, guys. And
Come here.
oh, the cat. So we're going to be finishing our books. We're working on another one just now, finishing more. And I'm available for soul readings. What do you want to call these things? I call them spiritual consultations, where I can see into your past, also know your other people, your overpart, and past lives, etc. Even for your pets, I don't know, whatever. It's just that and angels.
No, I don't know anywhere.
I think that's basically it.
In conclusion, I just want to add a little bit something to what Marc and Phyllis are saying. Marc and Phyllis's forces are real. What do you call it? I know personally because there's much I share about my life, but there's a lot that I don't.
Yes.
I have certain pieces of information that I just don't share. So when Phyllis and Marc and I first started talking, sometimes on the air and sometimes off the air, they told me a lot of things that I hadn't shared ever. So whatever you may believe about how they're presenting themselves, what do you call it? And everyone, like Marc said, is open to their own ideas. There is a reality to them. When we used to have the Duncans on also, the Duncans did the same thing. And a couple of times the Duncans and Marc had said the exact same thing in the exact same words. So whatever the phenomenon is, and what do you call it? For some people, there's still questions about the phenomenon. There is a reality to it beyond the words that we're hearing from them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we all get it to us the way it comes to us, and we interpret it through ourselves too, and or past lives, whatever people have experienced, and it comes to them.
Don't go anywhere, Poo-Poo. I need
Oh, he's
you.
beautiful. What a beautiful cat.
well,
Oh, he's my buddy.
and Brian, Mark, and Phyllis, and Setna, and Boo Boo. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so very much for being here, and I look forward to the next
God
conversation
bless.
on and off the
Bless
air. Everybody.
Good night, everybody. Blessed,
Good night.
blessed be.
Right.
Good night.